Hello and welcome back to another reflection. This is going to be reflections on week 4. Just want to say it's been an awesome start to this week so far. We've learned an awful lot. We've done a bit as well, and I must say I'm in absolute agony due to past lessons of stage combat, which I'll get to in just a bit. But starting off with Gary's lesson today, what we learned in Gary's lesson was we learned a lot just from a director and actor's view of how like anxiety works out when you're on screen, and like just things like eye line and build scenes and just even little things like T-marks. If you don't know what T-marks is, basically it's where you would have, for instance, just using my phone case as a thing here, you have my phone case here. Imagine this was your performance stage, and here you'd have a mark here, like a blue tape or something. You would then have to walk down and put yourself on that mark so you're in the right frame of a camera. This is just for screen acting, but also can be used for theatre work as well. Another thing is also, we talked about learning the pressures of a big cue, such as if you do have like a T mark or something like that and you need to get to it, but you're in like a massive, like condoned group of people. How would you pull that through? And it's just a whole other sequence that we're going to be speaking about in our next lesson. I was going to say episode. I was thinking, what? In our next lesson with Gary. Another thing that we did was continuity of physical acting and physical theatre, continuity of flow, which we are going to be redoing as well next lesson. Also just learning how we can build a scene like that in seconds just by how it would work with film photography. For instance, was also given a script, like a little script, like a page, and page and a half is what I had, and I partnered up with Sam Chandler, who is also an actor in my group. We are doing a scene basically we're two friends and they're talking about a girl and we're talking about a lesson and talking about stuff like that. It's pretty much like college and stuff like that in general. So basically how we already feel. You know, anxiety's really kicking in, the fire and the smoke is just all over the place. So that's just our one, and we have to learn it by our next lesson, which is not hard at all. We actually very enjoyed it. We kind of played it along very well of how we thought our characters would be and our accents, and we kind of did a little bit of a character bio ourselves, not actually in the lesson, but just as actors to stay on track and to stay on target and also to stay, you know, an exact image of how our character is when we are performing these characters, because it turns out that our next lesson with Gary, which would be it's tomorrow, speaking a bit further on, we are going to be doing some actual on-screen acting, and that is where Gary is going to be having a camera set up. I think he might be having more than one camera, multi-camera and multitasking, and we're just basically going to film of how it'd actually look on a camera rather than on stage work. Now, we are personally used to on stage work. The majority of the group is actually used to like West End and performing in theatres. I myself am used to performing on stages and theatres with a larger amount of audience. I'm also have done a bit of screen acting, but that's just like mainly like homemade stuff. And I'm currently doing homemade screen acting with my friend Thomas Atwater, Gemma Crowley, Rafe, Leah, Charlie, so many people. We're basically doing Lauren Hardy on tour, which means we're also doing movies as well to practice for our on tour show. Getting a bit off task. Look at me multitasking now. We also read scripts. We got to see each other's work and just how we took a script within a few minutes. Literally, it was just a few minutes we had to learn a bit of a script, so we just took that into proportion. We had to be careful with projection just to see how well it would cope with an actual theatre audience. But when we thought about it when it comes to film, Gary stated a lot of useful points. It was like, well, when it comes to film, you don't really have to shout for the audience at the back to hear you, because the camera's really probably going to only be a few feet away from you, and it picks up great audio with the microphone. So Gary was really interesting. And as our first lesson with Gary, because sadly Gary was in a car accident, but it was nice to meet Gary for the first time. He actually kind of reminded me a bit of Jack Sparrow. I don't know what it was. It's just his voice and how he spoke about certain things. I love it. Where's the ship? Where's the rum gone? I just, you know, me multitasking is just, you know, it's going to be a big thing now. We had a cover lesson because Hayley's our original teacher, but Hayley's currently at Tully's Farm. Got on Hayley for doing her, you know, her own work, you know. I mean, she's a teacher, but also a worker as well. So, yeah, performer. So we had cover teachers. I can't remember what their name was. I think one of them was like Masik or something. I don't know. It was two girls and they'd just been qualified as teachers. I think they was in H&D. Basically, they just taught us a little bit of a dance, like a nice little bit of a rhythm going. We had several things to write down. So today, I felt today in dance went really well. I feel like I had a lot of commitment and approach to the choreographed piece by Hayley's cover staff. I would improve by going home and practicing the routine, which I have been doing, and also stretching. I haven't really been doing the stretching as much because we pulled a lot of muscles when we were doing stage combat, and I think we've got that again tomorrow, so that is just not helpful. In fact, no, we've actually got speed dating tomorrow. Woo, woo, that'll be fun. We did it to the Big Spencer 50 Shades soundtrack. Yeah, I was improved by going home and just learning like the structures and positions of the dance. Also trying to match it exactly with the music on the beats. I felt that today, like the speed of the dance was so quick. Honestly, it was like a count of 8 and we had to be like there. Literally, it was so rushed. And because we're not dancers, we're actors, it was a bit of a task that we never really thought we would ever be doing. But it was quite an experience, you know. It was quite fun. The piece was a count of 8, 1 to each movement, character questions. We was also asked character questions. I'm just going to read you 10. We was able to put our own in as well, but here's the character questions that we chose. For instance, how old is he or she? It's basically our character we're portraying. I put 24. What's my character's favourite feature? His camp acting. What is my character's class? Middle class. What is my character wearing? A smart suit overcoat with a cigar. 6. Did he or she have a past relationship and how has that affected me as a person? My character's rather lucky because relationships and he's a flirter. What does he or she care about the most? Making people happy is what I put. 8. What is your biggest fear? Loneliness and broke. 9. What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to your character? He was bullied and grew up in poverty with nothing. And 10. What is my biggest secret? He is very ill and has got depression and mental health issues. This has been basically this week so far in a heartbeat. Not much has been done apart from basically doing a bit of monologue work as well, but that's just like little bits on the side. So I'm going to pick it up next week with more stuff because this week has been a bit, but there's not really much to talk about. But thank you very much for watching this week's Reflection, and I'll see you in the next one for week 5. This has been week 4. You've never had a friend like me.